Now.
All right.
And I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. Today we'll be presenting on Faculty Tools Refreshers Aviso. And we're going to be talking about some things that faculty members can do in their courses, their Blackboard class, and in Aviso, just to really help the system function properly, help things go a little bit easier for the faculty members, and help us to best support our students. I am joined today by Daniel Barrett. Daniel, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Sure thing. I think most people know me, but if you don't, my name's Daniel Barron. I've worked at the college for quite a few years. I've held a lot of different roles. I currently hold the station of business administration faculty. I teach, our intro to business classes. I've taught some marketing management. I teach a lot of our finance curriculum, and I also still serve as an ACA instructor. And my chair is on this call with me, so I'm hoping to do a good job today. But and hopefully, with all the experiences that I've had, hopefully I can give you some tips or pointers on how to utilize. That's my goal, is to help you utilize Aviso to its fullest potential, but also in the most efficient manner, so that you don't feel like it's an extra chore. I definitely understand that faculty's plates are extremely full, and we don't need one extra thing. But I think that some of the tips and tricks that I have might be able to help you out with that.
Yeah. And my name is Seth Buchanan. I've been with the college for 7 years now, or 7? Yeah, 7 years now. Sorry, I had to stop and count in my head for a minute. I've been with the college starting during the Title III grant as a success coach and retention manager. I now serve the college as the Director of Academic Success and Aviso Administrator, whereas I work hand in hand with Aviso to talk about what's working well with the college, what's not working, and ways that we can make things better for our students in general. I also oversee the ACA curriculum, both ACA 122 and 085. I asked Daniel to join me on this because he does have such a wide range of experience being with us as a success coach, to an admissions counselor, to a current business faculty member, not thinking about all the adjunct work that he probably did before being a success coach. So he has a deep breadth of knowledge relating to this subject, and I think we'll be able to give some interesting or interesting pointers. So with that, and to kind of keep us on track and within that 30-minute timeline, let's jump into the first topic, which is maximizing your Aviso dashboard.
Yep, and I'll hop in and say that, like, one of the first things that we recognize is that a lot of folks will judge their experience with something on that first impression, right? With that first interaction. And I know that if I were a faculty member and I had no prior experience with this software, and I was told to log into that software, that, seeing a page that looks something like this as my landing page, hopefully you all are seeing that there, that would be really overwhelming. Okay, good. And so that would be like extremely overwhelming to me, I believe, as someone who's never interacted with the software and has no idea where to start or how to use it. I do think that the interface is very user friendly, but not really knowing how to utilize this space could probably, I think in my mind, would deter me from wanting to use it unless someone trained me to use it. So that was one of my first goals here, was, how can we make this more efficient for the faculty member? Because there are several professionals who work who work here at the community college that use this resource, but we all kind of use it in our own, nuanced ways. So, what I do may not be exactly what you're going to do, but I just want to kind of show you what I've done to my dashboard. Now, what I did is I reverted it back to its default state, just so that you could see, like, how much stuff kind of shows up on the screen. So this is going to be one of our first tips. One of our first pro tips is to edit that dashboard. Don't be afraid to make changes. This is here for you, for your ease of use. And so if you click Edit Dashboard, what will happen is you can even retitle that space if you want. I've never retitled it. But basically, we have what we call widgets and layout are the two things that we really want to hone in on here. And those are the two things that you have power over on that dashboard. The layout, let's dive into that first. So if you hit this little edit pencil here, and you'll see that this menu pops up, is it's basically showing you different ways that you can align your widgets. And again, I think this is very user friendly. I think it looks a lot like the settings menu that you would see on your own smartphone, right? Or if you have like a tablet. And so there are options where you have 66% of the space is dominated by one thing, and there's some things that live over here, or maybe vice versa. You can also make it to where your screen comes up as a dashboard 50-50. You can break it down into thirds. You can have one dominant widget and then 3 widgets underneath that broken down, or you can do like a 1-2-3 punch there. And honestly, it really boils down to what works for you, like what is your preference. Now, if you're curious about how I like to have it, personally, I like this 1-2 setup. What I don't like is all of the information that's coming up. So for me, I actually do like this, and that's the one I'm going to choose just for today's purposes. But then what's really important to me are the widgets that I have populating on that dashboard, the things that I really want to see versus the things that are probably not super pertinent to me logging into the software every day. Now, of course, as an instructor, the courses widget is very important to me because it tracks all the courses that I teach, the enrollments that are in them, the locations, and so on. So I don't want to get rid of that. If anything, I want to maximize the real estate that's being given to that. So what I might do is I might just drag this over to the right and let my content, or excuse me, my courses kind of live there on their own. But when I look at all of the other widgets and I think about like the importance or the value of these widgets as a faculty member and not some other professional here at the college, I would say that to me as a faculty member, it's very important that I'm not missing any messages. And so I'm going to, personally, I like to move unread messages up, right? And it's also very important to me as an advisor, a faculty advisor, that I'm not missing any alerts on my particular caseload, alerts that are being sent out by colleagues to inform me that maybe one of my advisees is getting a little off track, okay? But when I look beneath that, I start to see things that maybe don't make sense to me. Like as a faculty member, I don't even know what key engagements are, and you really shouldn't. That is a success coach related term. So as a faculty member, I'm just going to trash that. Now, the planning is important to me because, of course, we have advising coming up, right? It's coming up really soon in October. And so, I don't want to get rid of that. I want to see if my advisees are already starting to develop plans and if they want me to review. And caseload task, unless your department chair is telling you that this is something that you need to pay attention to, it might not be something that you're utilizing. And don't worry, anything that we get rid of here can always be added back by clicking add content. So we're not losing this by throwing it away, but again, just maximizing the real estate. Again, task, unless you're utilizing that feature, which I don't believe most faculty are at this point, then I would say, let's just get rid of this for now. And let's see what that does, right? So if I hit save and then I go back, let's see how that changes my dashboard. Now what I have is I have a very straightforward list of all the courses that I'm teaching, whether or not they're in progress. Like, you'll notice that if you're teaching anything in a shorter accelerated semester, it'll say not in progress, which is, I think that's really valuable information. Also, if I had any emails that came from students, then this would be where they would be located. But what's really neat is that since I've answered them all, I can immediately jump to the conclusion, like I haven't missed a thing. If there are alerts out there, I can now peruse through my caseload. And we did just have a automated grade alert go out. I believe it was this past week. So that's why those are there, right? And then if I scroll down, if I have sent plans to my students in preparation of registration, then it's going to show where I've sent them out. Same thing goes in vice versa. If a student has sent me a plan and is waiting for my feedback, it's going to be listed there. And then it even shows me all the things that I've approved already. And so what's really neat is now you're building this into a true dashboard that can be utilized, I think, very efficiently, right? I really enjoy using this for that reason. I can also deep dive into the courses portion of my dashboard. I'm just going to hop over there really quick. And I was telling Seth, I hope that we can get this changed. I hope that some of this information will be integrated on the dashboard so we don't have to make that extra click. But I love being able to check my enrollments. I love being able to see the start and end dates of my classes very quickly. And I would love it even better if there was a location column that was added. But still, this is all valuable information that is accessible very quickly, all from the dashboard area. So this is maximizing the use of that starting page and then being able to deep dive into that. Now, I do believe that our next topic is automated alerts in you. So I'm going to take a beat and let Seth talk about that. But please, if you're using this, if you're trying to make these changes while you're watching our session, leave this right here. Don't move away from this tab, because I want to be able to pick up right where I left off when Seth hands the mic back over to me. All right, so Seth, I'm going to hand it to you.
All right, and you are right. The next topic that we want to touch on today was automated alerts in you. And just to kind of talk a little bit about how automated alerts work, is we have really three main automated alerts that run throughout the semester. There's on-ground attendance, online attendance, and current grade alerts. And we utilize these alerts to, one, notify students of how they are doing, if there's any concerning areas, such as their grade dropping below a certain level, or them missing too many classes, or if they've not logged on to their online classes for a certain length of time. On-ground attendance looks at the number of times the student has missed a seated portion of the class. Online attendance looks at when's the last time they accessed the online portion of their class. And then the current grade alert looks at what their current grade is in the class, and based off of where our threshold is for the alert, which we use a 75 as a threshold. If the student has below that threshold for their grade, then the alert is automatically generated. And that's sent to the student. The advisor gets a copy of it, as well as the success coach. I'm sure, as Daniel said, we just had the grade alert launch for the first go round, and y'all probably received hopefully not too many grade alerts for that first issuing. But what can a faculty member do in order to help these alerts issue and our students be notified within a timely manner? Well, with the online attendance alerts, that's based off of student behavior, and it's accessing from Blackboard when the last time that student has accessed the course. So there's really not a whole lot that you need to do as a faculty member, other than maybe respond to your advisees that have missed or have not logged in, and that alert has issued. Maybe give them a little prod and say, hey, don't forget you need to access your course. But with the on-ground attendance alerts, what that is looking at is it's looking at the attendance within WebAdvisor. So as long as you are putting in your attendance within a timely manner, then those alerts will launch automatically. They'll launch like they're supposed to, rather than waiting several weeks to put in your attendance and then those alerts populate, but now the student, rather than having just missed 2 classes, now it's coming through that they've missed 6, depending on how often that your class meets and how often that you're putting in your attendance. I mean, when I am teaching my seated ACA class, I do take just a minute or two at the start of class, and as I'm calling my roll, I'm sitting there on the faculty computer entering in the absences as I'm calling the roll. That way I don't forget. With the current grade alerts, there's a couple of different things that you can do as a faculty member to help ensure that those are going to be issuing as they are. We don't have the current grade alert turned on all the time. It is only launched 3 times a semester at weeks 4, 8, and 12. That is to kind of catch the students at important times within the semester, at those quarters, to make sure that they're, progressing along like they should. You should have received a nice little reminder from Dr. Christy Holmes, our Associate Dean in the University Transfer and Advising Department, with a reminder to make sure that your grade center is up to date. And that's really what you need to do, is just make sure that you're going through and grading items within a timely manner. Not only for the current grade alert, but for anytime a success coach or an advisor reaches out to a student to assist them, and they're referencing the courses tab and looking to see how much see how the students are progressing, not only in your course but in other courses as well. You can also make sure that the green check mark, the external grade column, if you would, is indicated in your grade center. You can also go through and just spot check your students as you're going through and you're done some grading. Aviso does update overnight. So, you do your grading on, let's say, a Tuesday. You could go in and spot check a couple of students in Aviso on Wednesday, just to make sure that the grades are coming in correctly. You can also double check your grade center settings for that external column to make sure that they are set to percentages. With the external grade column, Aviso only recognizes the percentages. If you have it set to score, it will not bring in that information. Now, if you've gone through and you've made sure that all of these items are correct, and you want to make sure that, and it just still doesn't seem like it's functioning like it should, feel free to give me a shout. I'm happy to go in and look at your grade center, see what we can do to get it to update correctly. Or if you notice that a student, maybe your entire class is reporting correctly, but you've got one student that for some reason, their grade's just not coming in, let me know, and we can get that settled as well. I believe, the good way to think about Aviso is like any good computer system. You put in good data, you're going to get good data out. But if you don't update it with the correct data, or you've got bad data going in, you're going to get bad results. And we want to make sure that we're getting good results. And by just maintaining your attendance and maintaining your grade center, that can help ensure that Aviso is bringing in the good information and putting that good information out to our success coaches and to our advisors. And I'm going to now turn things back over to Daniel to talk about grading and staff-initiated alerts.
Thanks, Seth. And I think that's a great segue. So, first and foremost, if we can have our grade books up to date and our attendance rosters up to date, that gives success coaches, a first-hand look at like what may be going on. But I don't think that there's anything that compares to an instructor's added input as to what's going on with a student, especially if they're aware of any extenuating circumstances, poor in-class performance, and so on. And so that's why it's so very, very important that you utilize Aviso to initiate what we call staff-initiated alerts. And so I just want to demonstrate, I know that this feels like an added chore and an added task that we are asking of you, and I wanted to demonstrate how I go about doing it, because I don't really feel like it takes that much longer. It's not like I'm completing two tasks, because I would assume that all faculty are doing probably what I'm doing. I'm just taking one eensy beensy little more step that I think that you could definitely do, and it would make everyone's lives and basically make all of us more valuable to our students, because then we're integrating those student support services like the success coaches, and of course I have a personal investment there because I used to be one, right? And so let me just demonstrate very quickly. So I said if you were making some changes to your dashboard, to hold on to that. So what I would imagine is that most of you are living 90% of your time in our LMS, our learning management system. And when you go in each week, you probably have some admin day or admin afternoon where you try to catch up on grading, right? And I don't know about you. I know you're probably either using the needs grading area or the grade center. And I know for me personally, I like using the needs grading area because it defaults and kind of runs through very quickly when I'm inputting grades. And so, as you can see, I've got a lot of grading to do. But then what I typically do, and I imagine this is what you're doing too, is when I'm done with all my needs grading, the very next thing I do is I want to go and look at, who is not maybe doing so well in my class. And so what I do is I start to look for places where I might see information gaps. So I might say like, okay, who doesn't have anything turned in? And I might look to see if there's like a bunch of zeros in a row. And if I see a bunch of zeros in a row, that tells me this student is not turning in their assignments. And so my next thing is, and I like to utilize the LMS to communicate with the students. So I might say, well, I'm going to email this student, and I'm going to say like, hey, I'm worried about your performance. And I've heard from a lot of faculty that this is exactly what they're doing. They're like, well, I don't really need this added component because I can do everything I need to do from the LMS, from Blackboard. And I think that's great. I think that's a great way or method to work through your day. So what I might say is I might say, concerned about course performance, right? And then I might type a message to my student saying, I think I might have already had one that I prepared. Keep formatting. Yep. And so I might say like, hi, like while I can see that you're participating in my class quite regularly, I've noticed that you've missed a couple of weeks of your assignments. And I just want to talk to you about your future performance. Is there something that's preventing you from doing these assignments, or was the due date not clear? Please help me understand. I really want to make sure that you're doing well. And I think a lot of you are doing this, and the Aviso just feels like that little bit extra. And what I would say is like, this is what I do. So what I do is I highlight the email that I typed up, and then I hop over to the dashboard. I know the class that I'm sitting in because I just finished grading, right? And so I jump straight from the dashboard and I go down to that student. So I don't even remember which student it was, but we'll just click on one. And I instantly click alert. And then what I do is I paste the email in, and then I just try to recreate the verbiage to where it sounds like communications from me, right, to the coach instead of from me to the student. So like like all we're really doing is swapping out pronouns. So I'm going to say like I have an academic concern, and right, I might say while the student's name, you can imagine whoever's name, Susie Q, is, right, I'm just changing some of the verbiage, is attending my class and participating. I think you get the gist, that I'm basically communicating the same thing to the coach or other support personnel that I just communicated to the student, and I'm doing it in a very efficient and effective manner. And I will say that there is one thing that Aviso can do that Blackboard can't do. So if this still feels like double work to you, if I was to take that same message and go to my messaging screen, Aviso has the potential to contact the student via their personal email. This would be the email that they listed on their application prior to being an officially admitted student. Why is that so impactful? Well, I think all of us know that most students don't check their Cougar mail. So utilizing the LMS to contact them while there's nothing wrong with it, it's probably not the most effective communication strategy. Now, if you have more time on your hands to give them a phone call, please do. But if you feel spread thin, you might want to copy and paste that message into this area, because in this area, you can check this little box. And then that not only are they getting that email to their Cougar mail, but they're also getting that email to their personal email. And you also have the added option of sending them a text message through Aviso, which is also an added feature that comes in really handy. Of
Not
course,
everybody has
is
texted
that,
Daniel.
oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. I take that back. I'm sorry. Well, I still think that this is a fantastic resource to use, because I will tell you that I get a lot more responses from students when I check that box than when I don't check that box. And so that's basically like my run through of why it's very important to take that added step and to provide staff initiated alerts. I can tell you from the perspective of the success coach that when you have that extra incentive, coming from the faculty, that, we know that faculty input is so valued and such important information that helps us kind of get a bird's eye view of what's going on with a student, that helps us. And so that gives us some, like a jumping off point, if you will, because then we're not just coming to the student and saying, well, hey, I know that you've been absent for, 5 days. Can you tell me? Now we can say, hey, Mr. Variant told me that, you're doing really, really great in this class, but it looks like you've missed a couple of days and he's really concerned about you and he wants me to help you get back on track. I think that type of message sends a greater, like, it promotes a greater connectivity from us as professionals to the student, and it tells them that we care, and it shows that we're all on the same page. And I think that that's very important.
And just to add
Um,
something too, relating to what Daniel was just saying about getting greater response from student personal email rather than their Cougar Mail account, I sent out an email blast via Aviso through one of their newest features called Campaigns, and that let me send it out to their personal email and to their Cougar Mail account. This was advertising the Finish Line grant. So it went out to a little over 1,700 students because it was, breaking it down a little bit further to people that were qualified for the grant. With the Cougar Mail blast, it had a 41.5% open rate. Whereas if we sent it to the personal email account, it had an almost 59% open rate. So we're seeing more students open the email, same exact emails sent within 5 minutes of each other. More students were opening it through the personal email rather than the Cougar Mail account. So doubling up on that, does increase your chances that the students will get that message. So finally, just to kind of wrap things up, what can we do to go the extra mile? And with, especially with the crowd that we have here, we're looking at our applied science students. You might be seeing students in multiple classes of yours, or they're taking several classes with some of your fellow department members. Within the courses tab within Aviso, you can see a plethora of information relating to how the student is doing in the individual classes. You'll be able to see grades for each of those classes, number of absences, when's the last time they attended. So you can actually use that to kind of, try to figure some things out, play Sherlock a little bit. Is the student just not doing well in your class, or are they not doing well in all their classes? Are they just not attending your class, or are they not attending all the other classes on their schedule for this semester? So you can use that to kind of, shape the messages that you're going to send out to your students. What sort of resources can you provide for them? When I was a success coach and I was looking at the different alerts that were coming in, if a student had an attendance alert for a class, but that same class, they had a 95. I'm maybe not as worried about that student as a student in the same class that has an attendance alert, but their grade is a 50. So making some of those decisions about the different information that is available to you. And that's all in the courses tab within Aviso. You can also partner with your other faculty members. Bring the success coach in. They're there to help make sure that our students are successful. They're a fantastic resource, and they may be able to connect with the student where you're not able to. So we have lots of different ways that we can make sure that our students are successful, and we want to try to use all the tools that we have at our disposal. One thing that I would like to mention too, that I forgot to mention at the start of this, as we're talking about these different things, changing your dashboard, in Aviso, there's nothing that y'all can do to break it. I've yet to find a faculty member in my 7 years of administering this software that has actually gone in and broke Aviso. So don't be afraid to go in and play around with it. Look at the different information that is available. If something doesn't look right, give me a shout. We'll take a look at it together. And I believe that is everything that we've got for y'all, except for this last slide, and that is just thanking you for joining us today. Wanted to try to keep that at the 30-minute threshold. We will ask real quickly, because I know that we are a couple of minutes over, what questions do you have for us? Feel free to unmute or type it in the chat box. So we must have solved all the world's problems today, Daniel. Thanks, Tiffany.
And I'll add that if anybody ever wants to work one-on-one with either me or Seth, we are both open to that. We, for this to be 30 minutes, we really had to rush through, the content. And when we were putting this together, there was so much more that we both wanted to share with you all, but keeping it to 30 minutes was just tough.
I appreciate that, Walter.
Thanks, Walter.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you do think of something later on that you want to ask, our email addresses are up on here. Feel free to give us a shout, give us a call. Once again, we appreciate everybody for attending today's faculty tools resources workshop. I think I got the abbreviation right. If you were not able to attend or want to be able to share it with somebody that was unable to attend, we will be making this recording available on our professional development website. Keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, I hope that everybody has a fantastic rest of your Monday afternoon, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you.
And thanks again to Daniel for helping to present today.
Thank you.